and good day to our friends around the world. This is a political talk show here on WRMN. That's WRMN 1410 on that AM dial. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. Thanks for listening. It is a beautiful day in the world. Doesn't matter the weather, doesn't matter the sunshine or the clouds or anything like that. It is always a beautiful day here in America. Let's help together to make it better. And helping me do that today, you met him on Friday for our Free Speech Friday panel. But today, I've got Dr. Robert J. Renteria on with me again. He is a Chicago-based Latino author, veteran, and civic leader who uses his personal story from growing up in a rough barrio in East Los Angeles to raising as a business leader to empower youth and underserved communities. He founded the From the Barrio book and curriculum series, including From the Barrio to the Boardroom, Mi Barrio, and Little Barrio, which are taught in schools across the United States and in over 25 countries. His focus is on addressing gangs, violence, school dropouts, and promoting self-respect, education, and leadership. In March, he announced is a running mate. He'll be lieutenant governor candidate for Illinois gubernatorial candidate with Sheriff James Mendrick. Well, thank you, Doctor, for being on with me again today.
Thank you.
It's great to have community leaders in here because, like we were talking about before the break, is when you step into politics as a community leader, people look at you a little bit differently. They go, well, we see all these promises or hear all these promises, but the community leaders are the ones that are actually fulfilling these promises. So it's different from them to turn around and say, well, I'm a community leader. Let me jump in and use my experience to do this instead of just a person who maybe might have the answer on paper.
Well, to set the record straight, right, I am not a professional politician. I am a patriot. I am a public servant who honorably served our country for over 7 years as a non-commissioned officer and a U.S. Army airborne veteran. Mm-hmm. I'm here to help solve the problems.
Well, let's talk about that background a little bit and how it not only prepared you for where you are now, but where you plan on going in the future. Let's talk for any of our new listeners who don't know your background or anything. Can you go a little bit into the barrio? I mean, you say you went from the barrio to the boardroom. What is the barrio?
Well, barrio at the end of the day is a neighborhood. Whether it be a black neighborhood or Hispanic neighborhood or white neighborhood, it's a neighborhood. Mm-hmm. But it's of poverty, low income, low economics. I grew up in a very violent environment. My father was a heroin addict and alcoholic. He left the family when we were 3 years old, and the only legacy he left us was a pile of bills and a bunch of empty bottles of booze in the trash can. My mother working 2-3 jobs to make sure my sister and I did not become part of a system. And when I was a little kid, 6 years old, I had a terrible accident. I almost died. I had to go to a school for the physically disabled and the mentally challenged. At the age of 9, my mother remarries. The nightmare starts all over again. She marries an abusive drunk. So when I got old enough, I ran away, and I started running and gunning, stealing and dealing, and I found a new dysfunctional family called gangs. And then at 17 or so, my real father, my biological father, dies in a halfway house on Skid Row. He died homeless. Wow. So I resolved to making better life choices. I found my way to God. I joined the military. It changed my life. It saved my life. It made me a much better man than I was. And I learned about camaraderie, teamwork, and I learned about a word called character. Character is not just doing what's right when somebody's watching you, it's doing the right thing when nobody's watching you.
Absolutely.
So after we served our country again for over 7 years, I got out of the military because I thought I was ready to be a leader and a man, and I came to Chicago looking for a job, and I slept on my friend's floor in Lisle in a one-bedroom apartment, and all I could afford to eat back then, believe it or not, was Arby's sandwiches 5 for $5. Remember those?
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd have a half a sandwich on a Monday morning, half a sandwich at night, made the other 4 sandwiches last throughout the week, drank a lot of water, lost a lot of weight. I said, but I want to be somebody. And I got a job in the commercial laundromat industry selling washers and dryers. So if you've seen laundromats all over Chicagoland, whether it be spin cycles or bubble lands or all these other ones. That was the business I was in.
Wow.
So I got into sales, and after 5 years of working hard every day, every holiday, every weekend, nobody saw me coming. I got recruited and became vice president of a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange.
Wow.
So I helped grow that company from 6 million to 80 million. And then I said, I want to have a shot. And I didn't mean like a shot at tequila, brandy, or bourbon. I said, I want to have a shot to start my own business. And I started my own business, even though people said it couldn't be done because I didn't have the money or the skill set. So they thought. 3 years later, we're the #1 distribution company in the United States. And I thought I had everything I ever wanted because as a child, I slept on a mattress on a concrete floor in a musty basement. Now I had a house on a pond.
Wow.
I used to walk everywhere, ride a bike, and now I had a Benz, and I'm flying first class, a few bucks in the bank, and I share that with you, so not to impress you, but to empower you, because I learned that the 2 greatest days in your life are the day you're born and the day you realize why you're born.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give back. So little did I know that in writing this book to help kids that are walking around lost in a culture of darkness, that my life was going to do 180. So what happened was I laid myself out there naked for the world to see, to serve a higher purpose, and 2 decades later, we're in 25 plus countries around the world.
That's amazing. To go from such hard struggle and being left alone to now helping so many people who are in that situation. It seems like to me, and we talk about this on the show quite often, about the oath that we take as enlisted men, about the Constitution and giving back to the United States for that side. At least that's where I pull my civic duty from, is that oath that we took. Was that the catalyst that kind of changed you from that the rebellious type of side, the world has just shunned me type of feelings to things, and have been embraced by the United States, or at least the I guess the camaraderie where everybody wears a different gang color?
Well, absolutely. So in the military, I was in the Army, so we're all Army green.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to kill each other like it was when I was growing up in the hood, right? The barrio. We're all on the same page, working together cohesively for a common goal and purpose.
Everybody working together. For that
Absolutely.
side, yeah.
And the party could learn something from that example, right? The word teamwork, what a concept. But anyway, so what happened was I learned about duty, honor, country, and I learned that you leave no man, woman, or child behind. So that's why the space that I'm in and working with kids around the world, and adults, mind you, as well, it works for me because it's about paying it forward and giving back and elevating, especially our kids, to lift them up so that our kids, your kids, and their kids could all spread their wings and fly like the angels God intended them to be. So that's why this space works for me.
Absolutely. And the other side of it is the message of hope, that it's not always being stuck in the doldrums and being stuck in just the situation that you are, the situation you were born into, or the situation that the world has kind of forced you into. Is it kind of back to that, maybe like that stoic type of side of saying, look, even though the world may be whatever it is, I'm going to steel myself, and then I'm going to go out and try to make that world better?
Well, I had no formal education, right? I have an international honorary doctorate now for the body of work I've done. I've got that from, just so you know, from Mexico City University, Mexico City UNAM. It's the most prestigious university in the world.
Wow.
And it's for academics and humanities. And I'm one of only 1,130 people in the entire world who have that degree for that body of work. So I'm very proud about that. But, but my life has been more about the greater the struggle, the greater the victory. That your pain, my pain, our pain is not in vain. So I try to teach kids that, in adults, if you try to do it easy, it's going to be hard. But if you do it hard, it'll be easy. So it's about hard work.
Exactly. Putting the work in, gaining the experience for it. Take it to the philosophical side of Proust or somebody, where we're just a culmination of all of our choices, good or bad, for it. Because you have such a fantastic reach to everything, how do you measure the impact that you have on this? Is it the occasional somebody comes up to you and just shares that story with you? Is it looking at it and go, we are in these schools now, or we started this after program. Where's the I guess where is the goal, or where is the or I guess where's the measure? How do you do this?
Okay, so from the academic standpoint, right, I believe the institution of education is fractured, right? So trying to follow traditional learning and it can no longer be followed. So you're talking about pre and post surveys or quantitative data. For me, in the world that I live in, it's about qualitative data. The proof's in the pudding. The anecdotal evidence is undeniable, like the stories you're talking about. There was a lady last year at a restaurant, and she was looking at me from afar, and she walks up to me. She was a server, and she says, "You're Robert Renteria." And I said, "Yes." And I go, "How do you know me?" She goes, "I read your book when I was in jail."
Wow.
And she goes, I said, "What were you there for?" And she says, "Heroin." And I said, "How are you doing now?" And she says, "I got rid of my deadbeat boyfriend. I don't do drugs anymore. I've got 2 jobs. I have my own apartment. I got my kid back." She goes, "I want to thank you." She goes, "Can I have a hug?" So we hugged it out in the restaurant, and she was crying in my arms. So that's undeniable, right? Anecdotal, in real-time measurements of how the world works. So education is about pre and post surveys. It has to be about qualitative data. The proof's in the pudding. So to answer your question further, it's all about all the alignments we've created all over the world. Like in Illinois, as an example, we're in all the Illinois state prisons, right? So I want to help with the recidivism, so the inmates get inspired to get out and stay out. And the reason I get along so well, one of the reasons with Sheriff Jim Mendrick, is he has the lowest recidivism rates in the entire state. So he went from 70% to 15%. So if you do the math, and we can cut 55% off the fat of all the jails and prisons across the state, that's billions of dollars in savings. That's an out-of-the-box way to help fix the budget, right? It's not about all these campaign promises.
Yeah.
This is a doable deal because it's already being done.
Well, and it's not always about the campaign promises either for the inflated budget. Sometimes it's maybe some of the promises that weren't on the campaign trail, maybe somewhere else.
I mean, I think I mentioned to you, like when I was growing up in the barrio, and it was a rough neighborhood. I mean, you had to watch your back. Literally, people were out there to kill you or to rob you. But when I got to corporate America, which was a dream of mine to be a corporate executive, that's where I learned about white-collar crime. So the crime was in the suits.
Different type of back to cover.
Absolutely. So part of what needs to happen here, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion from a business person's perspective, is we need to do what Donald Trump says, and we have to drain the swamp, do a forensic audit on the state of Illinois, right? Watch these people run like cockroaches, right? So we can find out where all this corruption's at and reallocate the money where it belongs.
Well, the money should definitely go where it's supposed to, or at least where it was lawfully supposed to go to. So let's talk a little bit about your lieutenant governor candidateship. Obviously, you have sided with a partner that you've worked with before. You see that dream of Sheriff James Mendrick as well. Where do you see you and where you're able to kind of get your hands on some of these levers of power to not necessarily to manipulate the system, but kind of allocate the resources like a good steward politician, I suppose?
Well, I think that between the two of us in our conversations, is he is really big as an executive level in managing a budget, $80 million budget, and never been over budget, manages over 500 employees plus another 300 contractors, right? So we've agreed, okay, you're going to handle the forensic audit of the budget. I'm going to work on public safety, prevention over intervention, and I'm going to work also on this whole thing with our fractured educational system, so they're not just teaching to test, but they're teaching to learn.
That's fantastic. You can find more about Dr. Robert Renteria at fromthebarrio.com. There's some great sites there where you can literally go and look at who is Dr. Robert Renteria. From the barrio to the boardroom, that is the memoir right here. A fantastic book. Like you said, it is in so many different places that some people need that help. They need somebody to just say, you know what, I'm not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but let me show you my path, and maybe that will inspire you to go, right?
100%. 100%. I mean, the truth of the matter, at the end of the day, although the book has my name on it, so it's not even my story. I mean, it has my name, but it's not really my story. It's our story. It's a story of a lot of people who come from tough places, work hard, make a lot of sacrifices, but in the end, they do whatever they have to do legally minded to come out clean on the other side. So it is about a book of hope and dreams and guts and desire. And yes, you can if you believe.
In your view, what's the most effective strategy in reducing gang involvement and violence? Then, we always talk about the city of Chicago as just this amoebus thing that's outside of the rest of Illinois. It's almost like its own state for it. But at the end of the day, gang violence doesn't always land just in the inner cities. There's other places that are out there with it. What's your strategy for effectively trying to reduce this violence with it? Like you said, it's a preventative. What plans do you have in mind for that?
Well, what I'm trying to do is educate our children. It's called peace building through literacy and education to create what's called a culture of calm.
Okay.
So I'm bringing culturally relevant tools to the table to educate our children. Now, the books are all in English and Spanish, and they're digital. But the important piece is we have crafted a curriculum that addresses critical thinking and conflict resolution, social emotional learning that was crafted by Chicago Public Schools that aligns with the Illinois State Learning Standards. But the important piece that the listeners have to understand is I am personally donating that curriculum at no cost to all middle schools and high schools across the state, across the United States, and around the world so that our kids have a fighting chance to be the leader they deserve to be.
Have you gotten some pushback on different gang members for this and turned around and said, hey, you're stopping recruitment, you're impeding on what we've got over here. You're a marked man.
Well, you know what? That's a wonderful question, and I've only been asked that question a few times. And I can tell you that initially I thought that I'd be a target because I'm putting a dent in the recruitment efforts, when in fact I've met with current gang members, I met with those who are incarcerated currently, and they've told me when I've sat down with them that this is a public safety tool, and they don't want to have to bury their kids, and they don't want their kids to go to prison. So I have good buy-in by those in that space who are now rallying around it so that we can protect our kids.
Is this where arts and culture and just, I guess, thinking outside of just your own person? Because a lot of times we make selfish decisions because we only can think and only can conceptualize ourselves. Does this kind of open up the reader's mind to see different views?
Well, the Barrio books and the program is a roadmap. It's a blueprint for success. So, and there's a lot of advice in the books, and it's not preachy, but there is a lot of life skills in the book. So when they read the book, they see themselves in the book, and it gives them the hope they need. And like Dr. King said, it helps them make a way out of no way. So, and I also tell the kids, now you can never say nobody ever told you what the score is, right? Because now there's no excuses. But it provokes thought. And then you and I both know this as kids growing up, where we have family and nieces and nephews, and the kid gets in trouble, and you say, what were you thinking? The kid wasn't thinking, or they would not have done that. So this provokes thought. So that's why it's working.
And that's what we honestly really need at this point, because a lot of it is emotion, raw emotion, and even with discussions with politics or even complex problems, we don't want to look at the minutia of something because we either don't want to take the time to understand it or don't want to take the time to think about it. Is that what we need more of to kind of perpetuate a little bit more civil dialogue? Do we just need more people thinking about stuff?
Well, we need kids and adults to question and not to be leaders, not to be followers. So, and that's what I'm building. I'm building leaders, not followers. It's like social media, right? Right now, the whole thing on social media, people ask me, how many followers you have? I said, I'm not building followers. I'm building leaders. So, and I should be better on social media, and that's where the whole world's going.
We could all be better on social media.
But for me, I just want to do the work and let the rest happen organically. So I've done the work for 2 decades. I have self-funded a program that is working in real time. It's a very multicultural program that, whether it be working with Hispanics, whites. When they had the riots in Ferguson, Missouri, they brought me into Ferguson after the riots to talk to the kids about breaking the racial divide. 2,000 kids, they went crazy, right? Hugging me, kissing me, autographs, photographs, teardrops. And then at the end, the superintendent, principal, teacher, and counselors brought me in the conference room. And they said, what just happened here? And he said, what do you mean? The way they acted towards you, and you're not black. And I said, listen to me. I said, kids don't know color. Kids know love. That's why I tell everybody we need to love each other and take care of each other, because that's how the foundation of this world was built.
Absolutely. Agape, brotherly love, looking out for each other, neighborly love is the best way to go. Joining us now is Dr. Robert Renteria, veteran airborne U.S. Army Latino author and motivational speaker. Dr. Renteria has transformed his life story into tools for educational reform and youth empowerment. He founded the From the Barrio Foundation, created curricula used globally, and now brings his leadership from the classroom to civic engagement. A couple different places that you can go to learn more. You can go to fromthebarrio.com. You can find a bunch of different ways to reach the books and also see the curriculum that are there. So not only do you have your memoir, From the Barrio to the Boardroom, which is this book right here, you'll be able to do it. Second edition is already out. You also have Mi Barrio, which is the comic book strip, or I'm sorry, they call it graphic novels now, I suppose, all of the kids.
Absolutely.
And it is absolutely amazing. What I love about it is it's not just the quick action, pow, we're doing this, or the thin dialogue that a lot of comic books have. This has a lot of intricate, thought-provoking, almost meditative type of side to things. Is once you're into it and once you're reading, it's like reading a novel instead of reading just a picture with a bunch of words.
I'm told that the books are very therapeutical, and it has people to reflect, which is great, which is why I wanted to get that book for even the younger kids, which is Little Barrio, which is pre-KK 1 and 2.
That's this one here. And what I love about this one, and my kids are about ready to just take crayons and everything else to it, is a lot of it is a coloring book that you would normally see, but with a message, right? This isn't just hey, there's unicorns and army men or whatever else on here, but you're able to actually see some actions of helping the community, some actions of helping your family, some personal growth, along with of the question of who do you want to be when you grow up? So, Dr. Robert, I really appreciate you being here with us. Why don't we stick around for just a little bit longer if you can?
Absolutely.
You can check him out while we are on commercial break. Go to fromthebarrio.com. That's the place to go to talk and learn more about Dr. Robert Renteria. We'll see you on the other side. Stick around. More Apolitical Talk Show coming up. To Apolitical Talk Show here on WRMN. I appreciate you being here. We've got Dr. Robert Renteria here with us as well. Dr. Robert Renteria, a author of From the Barrio to the Boardroom, his memoir here. We're also talking a little bit about his other books and his curriculum for youth that are struggling in a whole bunch of different ways, not just with gangs or with parents, but with drugs, with finding identity, finding religion, or finding just a community that will accept them. A lot of people, we did have an episode a couple weeks back about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and community is in there. Acceptance is part of that. And when you don't get acceptance from the normal, usual places that you should be getting acceptance from, your parents or your immediate family or your close neighbors, you search for it, you go for it, and you find it in places you will find acceptance. What will you have to do to get it? That's the real question for there. But we're going to shift gears just a little bit and talk with Dr. Robert about his candidacy for lieutenant governor here in Illinois. He is running with Sheriff James Mendrick, who's going to be the top executor on that one. But let's talk a little bit about your transition, Dr. Robert. You've long been associated with nonpartisan community work, where if you see a need, fill the need. It doesn't matter which side of the party you're set. What led you to align with the Republican ticket and the Republican Party and go with the sheriff on this?
Well, I think one of the reasons is I want to teach the community at large that there's a difference between a handout and a hand up.
Okay.
So because the message is about hard work, determination, and education, I wanted to bring that message to the entire state because of what's happening right now with the sanctuary city and the migrant issues and, the violence. So I wanted to bring a message that would unite people, all people, regardless of party, right? And I also felt that I could help the party understand that they need to be more missional and relational.
Do you find that in the party right now where there is a lack of accepting something that's different than maybe a traditional Reagan Republican? Like, do you find that maybe there is a little bit of apprehension to kind of make a bit of a bigger umbrella for the Republican Party?
Absolutely, but Barrio is an example, and they call my program Barrio for short. The kids named it that. Is a big idea whose time has come. So we can teach the party what it's like to be involved in the community. As an example, I'm going to give a plug out to Papa John's here in Illinois, Northwest Indiana. For the last 3 years, we've been giving out these gift cards right here for a free pizza to families. That's 10,000 families times $20. That's $200,000 investment they've made every year for 3 years to feed families in need. And then they offer a 30% discount using the code Barrio30 with no limit, so you can buy for your parties and whatever for your kids and in gatherings throughout the entire year. So Barrio30, Barrio30 gets you 30% off. And if you find yourself in a situation where you'd like to talk to me and maybe get some gift cards or talk to you about me emailing you the curriculum for schools, and we have a faith-based curriculum as well for the churches to get our kids in the Bible study, lead them to Christ, please reach out to me. I want to give you my number directly. Please, I'm easy to reach. I always get back at 312-933-5619. But back to the question, as far as the playbook, as I understand it, because I'm not in politics, I'm watching it, just trying to figure it out, is that there's this misunderstanding, conception that the playbook is about being seen. And my thing is, seen doing what? You come to call it a parade, which I'm not a great fan of parades because you're just throwing candy at kids and you're leaving. You're not building any relationships there, right? Or if you go to the events within the Republican Party, it's always the same people. So you have to get outside of your white sandbox and go meet the people where they're at.
Well, why isn't it like, so in that same phrase why is it you have to be seen and maybe not heard, right? Back to the other side, but even then go further in why not listen? Because I think that's where a lot of people have kind of lost faith in just the party system in general, because no matter what they do or no matter what the constituency says, the party's going to do whatever they want to. And that's where I think a big disconnect is happening.
Well, it's not what you say, it's what you do. You either talk the talk or you walk the walk, right? And so I believe that the party has a script that's dated, and it goes something like this. And I don't agree with this script, but this is what I'm hearing. And I'm not taking a punch. I'm just saying, if you're a football team and you run one play, every single game, you can't win. So you can't wake up in the morning and go out into the public and say, I'm Christian conservative, married with children, I own a business, and I want to save Illinois, I want to fight for you. Can I count on your vote? And can you make a donation to my campaign? My answer is no. I don't know you. None of my friends know you. And what have you done? I hear a lot of promise about what you're going to do. And a lot of these people, when you say meet the people where they're at, a lot of these people have never had a real job. They've been in politics. They don't know anybody.
How many times do you meet somebody who's kind of leaning, or I guess I've been there, and I don't want to just put it all on you, but I've met people who are leaning on the relationship or leaning on the labels. I'm a this, and this Republican, or I'm a this, and this Democrat. Vote for me because of my labels. Have you seen a lot of that? Because I definitely have.
Well, I want to say this, and I don't mean to be.
Don't point anybody out.
No,
You're not hurting anybody.
No. But you can't say, in all honesty, that we're the party for and of the people. My question is, which people are you talking about? It has to be all the people, right? So when you look at the sandbox, and the sandbox is white, and in Elgin, if you're 62% minority and 38% other, you can't win. You can't win races in Kane County unless you engage into the community. I think I mentioned before, Aurora is 58% minority, 40% other, and you're talking to the 42%. Look what happened the last cycle. We got wiped out. Kane County, I do believe with the exception of a couple people in St. Charles as well, right? They have a really good graph. I'm working with people there. Shout out to Dave Tomac and to the St. Charles GOP. And I'm now working more closely with the new board in Aurora. So shout out to Danny Sorey. And, and I am got a good relationship with Ed Dring out of the township here in Elgin. So I'm trying to create this alignment so we pull together, right? Because united we stand, divided we will fall. So as long as we're going to be divided, we're not going to win races and we will fall. So I'm hoping that I can use my platform to share so we can pull people together and not only win races, but build community.
How has your background of nonpartisan community work kind of helped you with this communication bridge? Because there seems to be that disconnect between the party leadership and the party voters. How have you been able to kind of bridge that gap between the two? Is it because you're coming in from this is who I am, I'm just a genuine person, or is it something that you've kind of positioned yourself a little bit more because of the business or anything else included with the party?
Well, you got to do the work, right? Okay. You can't just show up and put your thumb in the air and during campaign seasons. So you got to be there and do the work. Like I've done the work with Papa John's for the last going on 8 years, starting this Wednesday. Today's Monday, right? So on the 19th, it'll be 8 years we've been together building community, right? In the past, I worked with Jim Overweiss. In 2008, he bought 1,000 of these books from the bar to the boardroom, donated them to East Aurora High School. Right? It didn't take much longer after he joined the Hispanic Chamber and we did meets and greets and dinners with all the stakeholders. The Hispanics voted for Jim Overweiss. And we were together until he retired and moved to Florida, where he's running again now in Florida, right? So he's out of retirement. But we had a long-running relationship, right? I've endorsed him. I've been to his home. We spent a lot of time together. That's a relationship, right? So the message for the Republican Party and those who are maybe leaning on one side and looking to the other side for conservative values. And by the way, the Hispanics, I was not involved in politics until Donald Trump ran for office, right? And I can tell you that last year, I believe it was over 20 million Hispanics across the United States voted for Donald Trump, right? So when they say that the Hispanics don't vote, that's a lie. The Hispanics help get them into office. So we do vote, but we have to be inspired to vote. And we have to believe in who are getting behind it. It's not just talk. But it's actually more about action.
Because it's even traditionally, it is a more of a conservative culture as well for that demographic. But also, we've started to see a lot where you have to earn my even getting off the couch. You have to motivate me enough to even care about it. And it seems like when Donald Trump is on the ticket, people are motivated to get out there. What do you see will be the new motivation when he's not on the ticket?
I believe that the reason that I am scaling around the world isn't because of me. It's because I'm helping change lives and save lives and motivate kids to make better life choices and building leaders. So we have to have civic engagement, and we have to get to know our neighbors. And we have to be more multicultural as not just a county, but as a state. So the Republican Party right now, especially in the collar counties, they are the minorities. They're not the majority. The Latinos are the majority. So the numbers have flipped. So if you don't want to win, just keep doing what you're doing and it'll be what it is.
Is the country ready for a unity message right now?
I believe so, 100%, more than ever, right? And I talk to people all over the country, so it's not like I'm only talking to Hispanics. I'm talking to whites, blacks. And when you go to prison, I've been in the prison systems, right, for about 10, 12 years now. You know, that's very multicultural over there. And I took a big risk, you know, talking to the inmates because, like you said, they could have revolted against me and had to put a hit on me, but just the opposite. It's more of a moratorium because they appreciate what we're doing. So you got to do the work. There's no way around it. You can't win unless you do the work.
And so that's where, even from the national Congress that we see here, or even from the state side of stuff, of kicking the can down the road there, is that message of unity and I'm going to put in the work. I'm not going to promise this and that or whatever, but I'm going to promise I'm going to work for you, and I will promise to stop the division. Is that right there the winning message?
The missing piece is you have to do the work before you get in, not after you get in. Yeah, that's a false. It's air. It's a false promise, right? So if you take a look at my body of work for the last 20 years, I've done the work, right? I made a major financial investment in the future of our children's education. I self-funded, right? Donate curriculums. Nobody in the country is doing that. The schools and churches, right? I've donated probably 40,000 books in the last 2 decades. That's a lot of money, right? But I've done that because too much is given, much is expected and obligated. So you have to give back, right? So again, I know there's a lot of good people on both parties. I'm not here to say that anybody's evil. I think, but we have to come together, and the one common denominator is going to be the kids. And, you know, look at Secretary of State Jesse White. Jesse White was Secretary of State for 24 years. Ask the question why. He was Teflon. He believed in helping the kids. So he was helping the kids. He helped the parents, and what did he get? He got the votes. So
I am 100% with you on that platform right there. There isn't an American out there that wouldn't want to support the next generation, to stifle some of the division that we've got going on here, and finally have politicians that actually work. That right there, it doesn't matter if you're a red hat, a blue hat, anybody. You're taking it back to that American side, and honestly, Doctor, that's where I think more veterans need to run, because we get a lot of politicians that don't take that oath until after they're elected, right? We almost do it backwards, right? It's almost like you should almost take the oath first, and then maybe we'll see if you'll do it. But that's where I like enlisted and military members and people who have taken that oath. They are already start in with that idealistic view of the United States anyway.
Well, I know there's people listening who are very hardcore red or blue, but it has to be, for me, not about blue states or red states, but about the United States, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all people.
Absolutely. Your team was green, my team was blue, and I'll tell you, we all saluted the same flag. We all sacrificed for it, and honestly, that's where, for me, I think that's where I would like to start pushing more veterans to be on the forefront. We're kind of present company accepted, but we seem to be scraping the barrel for candidates for certain positions.
Well, the reason, my opinion of why we're scraping for candidates, because we're in the same box. We don't leave our sandbox. So how can we find new, fresh candidates if we only talk to the same people every week, every month, every year after year, and we wonder why we don't have different candidates?
Is that where the youth come in? Because you were so focused with the youth with the Barrio project that you have right here in the foundation. Is that it? Is that we just not necessarily scrap what we've done, but let's look to the future? Is that where the hope lives?
If we go to a Little League game tonight, right, and there's kids playing, some of those kids' parents are Democrats, some are moderate, some are Republican, right? But they're all getting along during that 2 hours. Why? Because they're there for the kids. So that's going to be the safety net to bring America back again.
I think we should always be there for the kids. Whatever choices we make, I think if we take it from that position of of what would happen if my child saw me do this, or what if a child was listening to this conversation between the two of us, what should we do? It's almost like taking it back to, okay, let's be civil so that we can have a society.
Well, that's what I told them in Ferguson, Missouri after the riots. The kids do not know color. Kids know love. So let's take a chapter out of their book, right? And let's also take a chapter out of the good book and follow the example of our Lord Jesus Christ. And let's go out there and let's start loving on the people.
Absolutely. I'm there with you, Doctor. Dr. Robert Renteria, a veteran, an author, civic leader, joins the 2026 Illinois gubernatorial race as the Republican lieutenant governor candidate. You are still in a primary side of it too, but we'll see where you get. Good luck to you on that one. But you're renowned for your youth empowerment work. You bring reformist agenda focused on education, public safety, economic opportunity, and aiming to broaden the GOP's reach in underserved communities. Is all of that also in your TED Talk?
A part of it, yes. So if to learn more, that's the easiest way to do it, right? We do have an audiobook if you want to go to Audible, but if you pull up my name, Robert Renteria, TEDx Naperville, you'll get to see my TEDx talk. It was about 16 minutes. And I will like to just add, when somebody asks me, what are some of the things that you want to do? And that's why I say I want to stay in the space of education and public safety. But I believe that with the honor that you'll bestow upon me by giving us your vote, that we will fight together, Sheriff Bendrick and myself, and we will help to eradicate the indoctrination and the pornography that is poisoning our kids in schools, right? And also, I will pledge that both of us, especially as a U.S. Army Airborne veteran, we will fight to put twofold, God and the flag of the United States of America back into our classrooms. That's
great. We need to have more patriotic side to things. I absolutely agree with you on that one. It's not, I don't necessarily think that it's to the point where we've got teachers that are teaching anti-American side to things. I think we're not focusing necessarily on the good all the time. I don't think it's necessarily teaching bad, teaching whatever. I think the current side that we're at right now, we're missing the heroes. We're missing the people that we grew up with to look at and go, I want to be just like them. And maybe it is because we know every little wart on the person because of the internet. But at the end of the day, we have to lead by example.
Right.
And so you were talked about, you're not building followers, you're building leaders. What I really appreciate about what you put forward here is you don't put the excuses in front of people like they try to get away with. And they say, oh, well, the system's broken and I was raised it this way and I didn't get this opportunity or I didn't do that. It's what I like about the program that you have is you don't do like what other programs do and completely shun that concept of the system is this. It's like, look, the system is the system. It's going to be rigged otherwise, but you have the responsibility of what you need to do. And I think that message right there, heal yourself, put your own mask on first, then help everybody else, I think is such a great message.
Before we wrap up, I'd like to share that I was speaking to a bunch of inmates right before COVID in 2020. They were the gangbangers, the violent offenders, and the drug dealers. And they had read my book before I came in because that's how the program works. And I walked in, and these guys are looking at me, and there's all the inmates on the bottom, inmates on top, and they're looking down at me, and you can see they're angry. And I said, listen, I know you guys are pissed off. I said, you think the judge screwed you, your attorney screwed you, and your homeboy screwed you. But do me a favor when I leave here today, look in the mirror. And the guy looking back at you, that's the guy that screwed you. Accountability and responsibility for your actions.
Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic philosophy. It's what I really think when somebody says bootstraps, right? Mm-hmm. We get a lot of grief when you say pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I'm not saying that you're not going to have some help, because there have been people in your side. And we've said it a few times even on this program of the way that and the reason that religious love and religion works is twofold. God says he's going to take care of you, right? You're going to say, no matter what it is, take care of the least of these, so shall I take care of you. There's almost an example for every single thing that's out there. But that comes with something else. That comes with reaching out and doing something.
Right.
And if we all do something, that first promise is kept every single time.
Right. Listen, I'm nobody special, right? I'm an ordinary guy who decided that I want to do something extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And although we're wrapping up here and I'm running out to another meeting, and thank you for having me. And I look forward to meeting those of you who I don't know and those who are listening. But at the end of the day, I am running for lieutenant governor because I love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's right. The I'll pray for you and you can't do nothing about it either. That's right. So you're running with Sheriff James Mendrick. We still got to get you through the primary. Once we do that, you will be on that ballot for Illinois gubernatorial side of things. Head on over to From the Barrio. You can go to fromthebarrio.com. You can see this amazing memoir of a book here, From the Barrio to the Boardroom. Dr. Robert Renteria. Also, check out Me Barrio. It is the comic book. This book is not the Robert Renteria story. It's your story. It's our story right here. Also, check out the Little Barrio as well. The whole Barrio program can be found at From the Barrio. Also, read all about it because I'm sure there is a book From the Barrio to the Boardroom near you where you already are. So thanks for being here, Doctor.
Thank you
I really
so much.
Appreciate it. There is more Apolitical Talk Show coming up after this, everyone. We will see you on the other side.